To the state of Indiana, where a recent law has just been passed. The state of Indiana has passed their religious law stating that anyone has the right to not serve a certain person based upon their sexual orientation or gender identification. Now, the Final Four is in Indianapolis this upcoming weekend. Ty, what impacts do you think this has not only on the Final Four, but just in the whole state of Indiana in general?
Well, I've heard this word a number of times over the past few hours. Hoosier hospitality. It's not a lot of hospitality when you're turning folks away. I mean, let's call it what it is. Everyone likes to say it's not straight up discrimination. It's a little different. Everyone's reading too much into it. But when you will tell someone no, when you refuse someone, a right to whatever kind of product or service that you're offering, based solely on, their sexual orientation, that's discrimination. I mean, discrimination doesn't always need to be about color. It's about what you are. And, we have a long way to go. We see the current events. We know what's going on in the world. But especially as it relates to sports, obviously, the Final Four, you talk about Lucas Oil holding Super Bowls in the future, whether teams with openly gay players or fans that support these teams want to even come and watch in the state if they can't go out to grab some food during the week. Let's see the Big Ten tournament, things of that nature. So it's so much deeper, in this day and age. It needs to be about acceptance and moving on because hey, it's a religious law, but it said thou shalt not judge. I mean, who are we? I think they're being kind of judgmental.
I mean, when you think about it, someone told me an important fact. If you put lipstick over a pig, guess what it is?
Miss Piggy.
It's that too, and it's still a pig. And when you think about it, when you put this law in front of discrimination, it's still discrimination no matter how you slice and dice it. Think about, let's say if Michael Sam was still playing at the University of Missouri, or let's say if he was playing with the Indianapolis Colts right now in NFL, do you think that he would be a central figure in protesting this law? Do you think that he would still be served in these restaurants or these different businesses and stuff that's happening now? I know in certain restaurants it's no shoes, no shirt, no service. And I guess
that's an appearance, that's a safety.
That's a safety issue, more a safety issue and a safety thing. Now, they're trying to curtail this bill to say that it's more of a safety issue or trying to protect, religious law and religious rights and things of that nature. But it's hard for me to understand how the state of Indiana can still pass a law like this. And when you think about some of the central figures in Indiana, Reggie Miller has came out and said how disappointed he was in his adopted state to have a law be passed and to have discriminatory factors against that. Charles Barkley has come out and said how he disapproves of this state law. Now with the Final Four being there, what happens if, let's say, one of the Final Four coaches was openly gay? How would his team be treated? How would the university be represented? Would they still be able to go to the Final Four? Do they have to stay in, central hotels or locations and different things of that nature? It's so blatant that it's almost comical. It's almost comical to a sense where it's just, wow, so you're just gonna smack us right in the face with something like this.
Absolutely, agreed. You talked about the scandal episode that I was finally able to watch, talking about current events. I mean, again, it should be about progress. It's 2015. It's about to be April in 2015. Now, the portion that I read that kind of stirred something in me, they talked about whether reverends in certain churches would have the the right to turn down like homosexual marriages. Now, that one ties more so directly in line with perhaps I'm not a priest, I'm not a reverend. I don't know how serious it really is, but I can say with confidence on a scale in terms of hotels, restaurants, it looks just like it looked in the 1950s and 60s.
Exactly. So, Indiana, like I said, has been a hotbed of controversy over decades, stemming all the way back to civil rights movements and even before then in the early 1900s.